we, George? So
Yeah,
good
this.
afternoon
Yep.
and welcome all to the first of a new series of Aspect Training Creative Tools Workshop Series, Cohort 2. We're back, George. That's great, isn't it? And I'm
Yeah.
just going to just letting the people know who's popped up on screen. That's an error, unfortunately, Aaron, that you've been sent the wrong link. So I'm just going to take you off the video screen. And if you could please mute yourselves. So this is series 2. So George, we did this earlier in the year, didn't we? April. Gosh, it feels like such a long time ago. And that was a pilot. So we ran a series of webinars around the tools you can use to create your toolkit or create assets or whatever it might be. And they went down so well that Aspect have very kindly funded a second cohort, which has been fine-tuned based upon the feedback from the series 1. And we've got 6 sessions coming up. So we have designing impactful graphics with Canva. We have creating engaging video content, crafting effective websites, easy apps, no coding. That was mind blowing. I didn't realize quite how easy apps are to build these days, although maybe just Mark made it look easy. Producing impactful podcasts and leveraging AI tools. And these are all going to be an hour and a half long. Hopefully, everybody who's on this call has had those links pop into their diaries. And I'll make sure they're all the correct links. And they're an hour and a half. They're very practical. These are sessions which afterwards we want you to go away and do. We're not going to talk at you for an hour and a half. We would like you to ask questions, but we'd also like to create a recording that's useful for people going forward. And my name is Lucy Payne. I'm from the University of Bath. I'm one of the entrepreneurs in residence. I'm literally the host. I get to sit on these sessions and learn and ask questions and hopefully be the extra pair of eyes for George with the questions coming in on chat for you. So what we've got is a designing impactful graphics with Canva. And the first thing I'm going to do, although if I can make this work, because we're doing well today on these things, I'm going to see if I can ask you a poll. So let's launch this poll. And what I'd like, oh, that's the wrong one. Bear with me one moment. See, I told you I was doing well today, George. Let's go back. We want this poll. There we go. Can we please find out if you've used Canva? George, can you see the poll?
I can. Yeah, I'm going to fill it the poll
Please
in.
do.
So I've used Canva.
Because we want to get a bit of a feel and we want to know what you've used it for because we know we're going to have quite a variety of different levels.
I think if people haven't used Canva, it'd still be interesting to know what it is you'd like to build. Is it leaflets? Is it social media assets? Is
Yeah,
it posters?
absolutely.
Or so a few people have come in as panelists, which was a slight
Yeah,
error.
unfortunately the wrong link's gone out, so I do
Yeah.
apologise to those guys. You can't contribute, but you can obviously put a comment in there, but we won't know your name, so we apologise. That was a slight admin error on this session. So, oh, we've got a really good mix there. There's a good almost, 50-50 on have and haven't used. And the key thing is, if you're quite an expert, or I've used it quite regularly like me, you'll still learn lots. And if you're brand new to it, we're going to go through in such a way that it'll
So
be really useful for
much.
both. Cool. Thank you all very much. And I just wanted to let you know, you're going to have all these in your diary, but the next two coming up are around video content
Oh, and I think
and
might be
around,
diff.
if people could please mute. Thank you.
Check this.
And around video content and engaging websites. But you've all got the links, so we will check they're the right links before we head into this next week. Because I say a little bit of a technical challenge on here. But now I'm going to hand over to you. George, over to you.
Yes, great. Hello, everyone. There are a lot of you today, it looks like. So I'm going to get my slides open. And here they are. Uh, so today we're going to talk about Canva for researchers, how to use Canva to create all kinds of media, posters, social media posts, all that kind of thing. We have an hour, and then we have another half hour to do any extra bits and pieces, answer questions, and that's probably going to allow me to run over slightly. It's because we're trying to get so much information across. So,
George, what I'm going to
uh,
need to do, if you can, unfortunately, is I can't edit the people who are joining. If you're joining on the front of screen, it's an accident. Could you please mute and turn your cameras off?
okay,
If you can, because I
yeah,
can't do that, George. If you can, unfortunately, I might have to tell you that on the
okay,
time. But yeah,
yeah,
off you go.
okay.
Thank you.
So you need me to mute people.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
if they
And
pop up.
hopefully that'll be it. And we'll make sure this doesn't happen next time. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so I've got Canva open, as you can see, and I'm going to talk it through as we go. But these are the slides that I've created for this talk. And I'm just going to go through my slides and get started. So my name is George, and at one stage, I was an academic. I was an evolutionary biologist, and then I joined the BBC, and I spent 11 years there making films about all kinds of things. Brendan has already got something he wants to say. What do you want to say, Brendan? But you're on mute.
Sorry, I haven't clicked the button there, but
Oh, sorry,
I
there's a
don't know
little
how
hand
to
up
put my
next to you.
hand up.
No worries.
So,
Okay.
like,
Um, yeah, so I was a filmmaker for a long time. So now I basically do all kinds of communications to do with research. I'm mostly a filmmaker, but I do all kinds of things, including Canva. Um, right. So the reason we use Canva is because historically, people have made some pretty awful presentations in the academic world, not just in the academic world, and there have also been some great ones. But typically, the tools that we used to use to create our presentations were pretty limiting, and Canva is really amazing, and it's leading the field. It allows you to create really great stuff. So here's a list of what we're going to talk about today. I created this talk as 10 things you're going to learn about a particular subject, Canva, for example, in 1 hour. And so I'm not going to go through these right now, but I'm going to go through them over the next hour. So the layout of Canva, this is what happens when you open Canva up. It looks like this. And I'm just going to very briefly show you by opening so this is my slideshow. But for example, I could go and create. So here's Canva. And over here, you've got your projects, you've got your templates, you've got all kinds of stuff down here. Your recent designs will be here. And then if you want to create, for example, a new document, a whiteboard or a presentation, social media post, whatever it is, here are a bunch of examples of things that you can create. There's an AI feature which allows you to have a go at getting Canva to have a first draft or first go of something you want to create. And it's much more powerful, of course, if you pay money and use Canva Pro. I'm not going to talk about Canva Pro until a bit later on. So for example, if you wanted to create like a social media post, you can click here and it'll say what kind of post you want to create. And of course you want to create, for example, and maybe it would be a LinkedIn post, and you would click that. And then it would give you all kinds of different options of the kinds of things you can create. Like, oh, this is your title. This is a kind of title page, and you could click that, and then you could start customizing it. So I'm going to go into all this a bit later on, and you'll see all the different features of Canva as we go on throughout the day. So I won't go through all of them right now because you'll see them as I go. Okay. So as an example, let's talk about how to create a poster. Now, there's several things to talk about here. One is how do you actually create a poster in Canva? And number two is what are the design elements for creating a good poster that you need to be thinking about? So when you're designing a poster of some kind, that could be an academic poster for a conference, but it could also be creating a poster about a meeting that you're going to be hosting, for example. Just seeing if, okay, yeah. So it could be there's all kinds of different types of posters that you might want to create. Keep it simple. There is a temptation, especially in the academic world, to want to throw every bit of information at people. And the underlying principle should always be whenever anyone looks at a visual design, It should be really simple. They should get it straight away. There shouldn't be tons of looking at all the different bits and trying to read lots of information. Keep it simple. A strong title. If you can tell a story with your poster, brilliant. People love storytelling. And break up the text. Academics love to put tons and tons of text, but viewers, including academic viewers, want to have large amounts of text broken up with different headings. So don't overwhelm people, keep it nice and simple. This is an example of an academic poster. And what it does is it has a strong title. Where does the light go? Immediately grabbing people and inviting them in to find out more. Tell a story. What is a story? A story is something that has a start, a middle, and an end. You entice people at the beginning and want them to carry on finding out further information as they go. A story unravels as you go. So you start by enticing people and telling them something really interesting. You give them bits more information as they go, and you hold on to crucial bits until the very end. And that's what we do with if we have an introduction, an objective, methodology, results, analysis, and conclusion. I mean, you're a scientific researcher, you're academic research if you're not a scientist. All research follows this sort of basic principles. So the principles of doing research follows the principles of telling a story because you entice them, you give them a bit of information, you analyze it at the end, and then you knock them out with a great conclusion at the end.
I was going to say this has got to be the theme across all 6 sessions, hasn't it, really, George? Is that everything is that who are you talking to them? What are the key takeaways you want to get from
Yeah,
them seeing this poster? But you must also think about your consumer. You should build your customer, your profile of the person you want to engage with.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's also, I think a trap you fall in is there's so much you want to say. There's so much exciting stuff. It's like, what's the one call to action? What's the one thing you'd like them to do at the end of seeing your poster or your leaflet,
Yeah,
whatever it might be? And that's hard. And you might have to get someone's help.
yeah. So what I'm going to do is, from what Lucy's just said, um, I'm just going to add some more text to my slide. So I'm going to say the number one principles of all communication are know your audience. Number one. So who are you talking to when you're creating this? Number two, what do they need to know? Those two things. Absolute. The starting point of anything you create is these two things here.
And the word need, I like the word need, is need
Yes,
to know.
well,
What could they know? They could know so much. But also, what do they know already? Because
yeah.
yeah, I also think a lot of people, you get very close to your projects, you know too much, you have the curse of knowledge. So stripping it right back.
Don't tell them everything.
No.
Ask them what they need to know. And I think adding to this is, what are you trying to achieve with this thing that you're creating? So if what you're trying to achieve is to get people to know a bit more about your research, then here you go. This is what you've done here. You've made an academic poster. But if you're trying to achieve getting people to come to a seminar, you don't need to tell them too much. It's tempting to tell them too much, but actually you need to tell them very little and get them to come along and find out more. So know your audience, ask what you're trying to achieve with the thing that you're creating, and then ask what are the things that they need to know.
And if you tell them too much, they've no longer got a reason to engage with you.
Exactly.
Again,
Exactly right.
if you're going to an event, you don't want to have all the answers on the poster, otherwise you have nothing to learn.
Yeah.
I
So,
know it sounds really obvious, but we've seen it done. That's why.
yeah. So here are some examples of academic posters as created by Canva. Now, you don't have to follow these particular examples. I'm just showing you some different ones. So this one here, these are literally templates, and I'm going to show you these templates as well. These are examples of templates that you can use in Canva, and you would just go in and replace these with your own headings and your own text, and you can put your own elements in here as well.
It just
But
takes away from the blank sheet of paper, doesn't it? Because otherwise
exactly,
you end up quite not knowing where things could fit. And as you say, it gives you a structure.
yeah. So here's Canva. Here's the opening thing, and I'm going to type in academic poster. And what pops up are loads and loads of examples of templates that people have created already that you can basically go and use and steal. If it has a little crown in the corner, it's the Pro version. And you have to use Canva Pro for that. I'm just seeing where it is, but you can basically you can tell it to turn off Pro. I'm trying to see where that is right now. It's switched around. So here's an example that I quite like. It's very basic looking, and that's fine. So academic research poster, and you might put in your own title here, and it could be, you know, are wind farms dangerous to birds? For example, if that's your, sorry, wind farms dangerous to birds. And then, you know, here's an introduction objective. It's got all the headings for you right here, and you can go through and change any aspect you like. If you've got your data that you want to present in your research, you can go in and type this. It's a bar chart, and you can I'm just seeing how you do this here. It's changed it since the last time I did it, which is always slightly frustrating. Oh, edit, that's right, there you go. So you can go in and put your own data in. You can upload your data. You can change basically how it looks. You can add it as a Google Sheets, which is effectively the same as uploading your data tables. So you can go in and change it to make it look however you want it to look. If you want to change the background color, you just click here on background color. Remember to use backgrounds that are not going to completely drive the audience crazy. So keep them fairly muted, but there's all kinds of different, you know, color selections that you can use if you want to. Oops, if you want to change the basic colors, you can do that. I'm just going to go for something like this. No, I'm not going to go for that. That's awful.
As Natasha said, you can use a contrast checker for accessibility, but you know, you might have, your project might have core colors if you've gone through
Exactly.
branding. If
Yeah.
your university has core colors, you might want to ask your marketing team what palette, what the actual Pantones are, but it's
exactly. You go in and it's fairly easy to change all that.
Yeah.
And you know, you will go in and you need to add a logo. So this is a basic template that you can work on to change. So for example, if you click on here, up pops up the text bar that you can change. And it's got the usual things. It's got the font and the size and all these sorts of things here. But it's also got transparency. So you can make, I mean, you wouldn't do this to your text, but you can make your text transparent. Then there are all kinds of effects. So for example, there are style effects, you know, if you wanted to make it neon for whatever reason, or outline, or, you know, like that. But you can also animate them. So this makes your posters more dynamic. Of course, you can't print it out and have it dynamic, but this is, if you're presenting it in a digital format, you can do that. So here's an example. I hover over here, it shows you what it's going to look like. There's all kinds of different ways of doing things. Some of them feel a little bit more playful and less serious if you're presenting something in a kind of serious way. How it arrives is something you can play with here. And there's just so many different ways of doing it. It's really extraordinary how, I mean, you wouldn't do this, would you? But you can do little bits and pieces that are a little bit more subtle. And then position, I'll come to that in a little bit. So this is how you basically start to play with things. Now, let's say this isn't the image that you want here. Over here on the side, this side panel is where you start to make the changes. So you've got elements is the first thing you will see, and you click on elements, By the way, if you click here, it shows on design, it shows you all of the different sort of templates that you might want to use.
We've got a question on templates, George, from Rosie about
Um,
if you have a template that, the university would like you to use, can you upload a template into Canva and edit
yeah,
it?
yeah, of course you can. Yeah, absolutely you can. Um, I haven't actually done that, but it would be fairly straightforward to do that. Yes, of course, yeah.
Oh,
In fact, I
excellent.
am currently creating a set of templates for Oxford research culture team for them to be using. So I will be able to report back fairly soon, but I haven't actually started that.
And we have
Um,
another question about Canva being able to email out newsletters, but from what I understand, it's an asset creation tool, not a newsletter mailing tool.
yes.
So you
I
could
wouldn't
create
be,
your newsletter in this, but you would send it out through,
yeah,
yeah. You,
yeah, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if they try and go down that
I
road
think they probably
because,
have that in their plans. It would make sense, wouldn't it? It feels like one thing, but I guess you've got the MailChimps and the HubSpots and the other. There's quite a
yeah,
lot of tools that have that,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
I bet that I agree with you. I think that's probably on the dev schedule. So why I said it really tentatively because I've never used it to do that.
yeah,
It doesn't because it doesn't have a CRM element to it, but I don't doubt in the future it'll allow you to just download it or upload rather a CSV and send it through.
yeah.
So
Okay.
not yet, Natasha. Sorry,
So
George.
that's right. So here in your elements section is kind of most of what it is that you want to be playing around with. Now, you can see that it's when I open this, they've got recently used, they've got shapes, graphics, AI image generators, um, stickers, photos, and all kinds of other things that you can want to drop in. And you can see because it's already got a style to this particular template that it's giving you other styles that are similar to that. And you can click on graphics and see all the different styles of things that it's going to recommend. And you can see magic recommendations look like this one to keep in style with this particular template. But let's say what you want to do is woman looking down microscope, for example. And you click on that and look, all these different options pop up. Again, if it's got a crown, it's pro and you have to pay for that. If it doesn't have a crown, you can grab one of these. And this one doesn't, so I could go and, oops, I double clicked on it and it appeared. So I'm just going to pop this over here. I'm going to get rid of this. I've done it twice. This here, and I'm going to make it smaller and pop that in there now. So your elements section is where all the bits and pieces that you can think of to go into your poster or whatever it is that you're creating will be found. So I'm going to go back.
And you
So
absolutely can import your own pictures. Sorry,
yeah,
another question there, because yeah, you could basically, I'm now, you're going to come to this because you can upload. It's a little bit, you can see uploads in the
yeah,
menu on the left there. You
yeah.
can
I'm
upload
just
all
gonna
your own images. We're just cheating.
yeah. I'm just going to come to that in a minute. So
Cool. Sorry.
so you can either type in a search element for what you want to look for, or you can browse categories here, or it gives you suggestions. So if you need arrows, you just click on arrows and there they are. Um, so, um, if there's a photo that you want, for example, let's say uh, you know, you can pop this in here and obviously you wouldn't put that there because it's just all this other information that you're hiding, but you can then move it. So go to position and you can move it backwards. Or right to the back. And so now it's behind all the other elements. But anyway, you wouldn't do that. I was just showing you as an example. So here are all your elements. And if you want to write text that's not already in there, you can either choose a heading, a subheading, or a little body of text. And so you could put this up here, and then again, you could write in whatever it is that you want to write. And there's lots of different sort of exciting examples here that you could use. Here's where your branding stuff would be. I haven't got any branding set up. You can basically put your own branding into Canva, and then it will automatically appear in anything that you design. Here's where uploads live. So if you need to upload your own logo, for example, to put in your poster, oops, then I've
And again,
uploaded
you just
this.
press the back button and you go back to where you were. So if you do anything like that, like putting a massive, great big logo, which we've
Yeah,
all done, back button, off you go. So it's really
yeah,
intuitive. Because
yeah,
you weren't even thinking about it then. You're just like, I'm just going to go back. I know what I'm doing.
yeah, yeah. So it's just Control Z to undo it. So
Yeah.
what I've done here is you can upload files. You click upload, and then you basically go and choose whatever it is that you want to upload, and you just upload it, and then they are. You can see I've recently done lots of health related research type stuff, but got lots of images here of stuff that I've uploaded for various projects that I've done. So you upload, or you can record yourself if you want to do that. You can record videos, still images, whatever it is you want to do. And you can draw, and here's the thing of what your projects are that you've been working on yourself. So those are all the elements and where you find them. I'm just going to go back now and go through some of the material rather than keep on showing you this, but I will go back and show you some more examples of putting a design together a little bit later on.
Can we do a couple of questions while we have a pause?
Sure,
Somebody's
yeah.
asked about whether you can have a watermark background on a poster.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the design, I guess. You'd put it as at the back. Yeah, it'd be an element on the design.
So if you wanted to have a background to something, I'm just going to put this here like that. If you wanted to be, you would, let's say, put it on there, then you put position, move to the back. And because you're still working on it, you might want to bring the transparency right down. I mean, that's kind of how you might put something that's a little bit like what you're talking about, or a watermark. You would create the watermark and you would have it sort of right in the background, and you would have it, a bit transparent so that it's sort of watermarked as your work or as your organization's work. I think that's what you mean. Does that sound, Lucy?
That's what I think was a watermark. Yeah. And there's a
Okay.
question also about the image licensing. Are these just publicly owned images that
Okay.
anyone can use on anywhere?
So if it's here,
Obviously, there's the ones
so
you've
if
downloaded,
you've
but
got
if you're
the
just going a general Canva one, yeah.
Yeah. So you can either, so there's two answers. So the first one is if you upload it yourself, for example, here's an image of a course I was recently teaching. So if I use this image, I took that on my own phone, so it's my image, so I can use that.
And it's not like chat. This doesn't go public. This is in your instance of Canva. So it doesn't mean if you upload an image to Canva, it doesn't suddenly mean everyone can get access to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go just onto the internet and start downloading images, you need to make sure that the image is either in the public domain, so it says public domain, copyright free, or Creative Commons. Will have a Creative Commons license, which will give you information about how it is that you are allowed to use it yourself.
Yeah.
So you basically it is your job to check whether you have copyright clearance for any image that you decide that you want to use. You can create websites using Canva. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail because it could take quite a lot of time. Basically, if I go to here and I type in websites, here's loads of different examples of templates of websites that you could use to create a website for your organization. And look, so again, here, these are pro ones, but there's plenty that are not pro. And if you click category, you can see, for example, here's education subject. Let's say, for example, social studies. You click on that. Oh, those are templates. Sorry, if I type website social studies. It's a bit strange that some of them are not coming up as landscape, because why would you have this as a website in that mode? But let's say this is how you would look for templates that are along the lines of the kind of website you would want to create. The other way to do it, of course, is you go up here and you can, this is the home page, and you can click on website and it will say create website. You can either just start dragging and dropping, but here are all kinds of different ones that you could possibly learn. I click on Learning Hub, apply all 7 pages. So I now already have a website that I can start using, and I can, this would be my home page, and I can start replacing these images with my own images, the words with my own image, my own words. Allows you to preview the website if you have a look at it like this. side of things. I'm going to choose not to go into websites in too much detail today because it's a deep dive and there's quite a lot to do. There are lots of tutorials if you want to use Canva to create a website. There are lots of ways of doing that.
We have websites coming up on the 14th of November. I have to get a little
Exactly.
pitch in, George. Come on. But also, I think Canva will be a really good tool for getting the idea of your website down. Kind of like we talked about
Exactly.
Figma in that session as well. It's like back to if you're going to try and build it yourself or go to an agency, you could use, if you've got your other assets in Canva, you could mock it up
Yeah.
and kind of start really analyzing what pages you need and what the user journey would be, so that
Yeah.
if you are then looking to commission a website, you'll be far, far further forward. So it's a great tool for that.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to deep dive into websites too much because I could take up 15 minutes easily doing that. Needless to say, if you are going to create a website in Canva, follow these tips. Again, don't overwhelm, keep it simple. The temptation is to try to put as much information as you can across. Each page needs to be immediately accessible. Strong titles. So on this page, for example, of my website, promoting nature. Strong images. People need to immediately know what they're seeing. Use text sparingly. Here are some website design rules. This isn't a comprehensive list, it's just a list. So the first thing to say is, when people are looking at a website, they've got above the fold and below the fold. And what the fold means simply is when you scroll, as you scroll down, you are going below the fold. And above the fold is what people see first. Important words first, above the fold. People will read websites by reading either in a Z format across, and then they go down to the next thing, and then they read across, or they do what's kind of like an F shape. So they kind of read across, go back to here, down, across, back to here. Think about how users will look at your website, and does it make sense logically what they're seeing? The first most important thing is up top, and then they move down, and then they see another subtitle to find out what comes next. Negative space is simply this. There's a temptation to put tons of information up, and actually negative space is space where there's not lots of stuff. And when you have space where there's nothing, it makes the other places where you do have information stand out. So don't be tempted to put too much information on. Use your space sparingly. When you've created a first draft, test it out on computer, tablet, and phone, because many websites work well when looking at landscape like this on your computer. Turn it onto your phone, it doesn't work well. So you need to play around with things and make sure it works well both in this way and in this way, portrait and landscape, as we call it. Each page should have a specific purpose. So, sales websites, for example, would have page where, if you look clothes shopping, they'll have pages for different items. They don't jumble them all together. For research, you might want to have, videos of what it is that, people can watch videos about the research, who we are page, your team page, get in touch, useful downloads and templates that people can download, research methodologies, research papers and research outputs, get in touch. They can all be different pages. So people like things not to be complicated and jumbled, to keep it really simple, different page for each topic that people want to find out about. And navigation is the other key thing. So often people make their websites really hard to navigate. It should be as simple as possible. Right. Sorry, you will be getting loads on website design soon. How to create slides. Again, if you're giving a talk, one idea per slide, make it simple. Again, academic conferences and talks, sometimes there's so much information on one single slide. And what that means is people are trying to read what you've put up there like this, and they're not listening to you. One idea per slide. Consistent style, font and colors. That's what Canva is for. It will help you to keep that style, font, and color consistent. If they're spending too long looking at the slide, they're not listening to you. So if you want to create slides, you can open it up and you can click on presentation and all kinds of stuff will pop up. So for example,
Just so much more dynamic. Again, we've all sat through really dull slides, haven't we? And you've got all the assets in here again.
yeah.
Yeah.
So presentation, click on that and all kinds of things will come up. And again, you can format this according to your either your universities or your department's color scheme. So all of these slides, it's always pitch deck because people use it in businesses, so pitching ideas and that kind of thing. But all these different options for slideshows come up. Look, thesis defense, I'm going to click on that, even though it's a pro example. So look, I can just say, look, I'm going to apply all 15 pages. And what it means is when I go through here, I've got my title page, and then I've got an abstract. I mean, it's walking you through a design, right? It's got the abstract, the overview, introduction, problem, literary review. What did you do in your literature review? Your framework, your objectives, your hypothesis. I mean, it was walking you through how to do a thesis presentation, for example. And these are storytelling elements that they've kind of got you lined up for you. So you're explaining your research in a storytelling way. And then you basically could go through and start to change any aspect of it. Let's say you don't like the color scheme. You can go through and edit it like this. Now, you know, here's where you could change your color scheme, or you could, you know, so it can, one of the things that's really clever about what it can do is it can see a photo that you might have in your template, and it sees the colors of it, and it will give you similar colors to play with in your brand kit or in the colors that it offers you. It's also possible when you go to the design element of it to easily sorry. Right, I'm not going to go into that in much detail now, but you know, this is how you would change the colors. You would change it to be your title and all this kind of stuff, and you can create your own themes if this is what you like.
It all
And this
feels
is,
very similar, doesn't it, to building? I mean, that's one of the key things of Canva. Once you've got your head around its logic, all the
yeah,
assets, the text, the elements is all very similar. I just like the fact there's an added layer of it giving you a bit of intelligence or giving you a bit of a prompt. So
yeah,
it's doing some of the thinking for you. And I saw when you were looking at, you know, searching the templates, it has an AI on the templates. It's looking, but the words you put in, it'll find things that people have used for similar tools. So
yeah,
it is learning.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a sort of example of how I would go about creating a talk. And you don't have to stick to this. The other thing you can do, of course, is you could, if here's your overview, you can right click or you can click on these little dots and you could duplicate the page. So if you've created a design of your own, for example, you then just, and you want to use the same design throughout, you just go here, click on these little dots here. You can either copy the page style, which is a pro thing because it's got a crown on it, or you can just duplicate the page. So there's all these different sort of ways of increasing the number of slide options that you've got in your presentation. Okay. Creating diagrams in Canva, again, it's you can import them yourself or you can create them through templates. Here is an example. So diagram templates, infographic templates. I'm going to go back here and go back to the home page. So if you wanted to create an infographic, there are tons of starting points for infographics that you can create yourself. And I've used this one before. You know, I thought this was a good one. Customize this template. It's kind of flow chart, 10 steps to be successful in business, but I use it as 10 steps to promote your research, for example. It still was about goals, and it was about, like, instead of industry, it was about audience, for example. And you can change these by going to elements. Remember, it's got the clever graphics thing where it knows the style, and it's going to show you all these different ones that are going to match the style that you've already got here. And let's say I think that's audience, that's plan.
I've got a
Let's
little
say
question about the presentation.
yeah,
It's basically what's it saved in. You say it's a Canva presentation,
yeah,
isn't it, file?
yeah. So
And someone's asked how compatible it is with PowerPoint. So could you move your Canva presentation over into PowerPoint, I
you
guess?
can. I
Yeah.
haven't done that. So, for example, when you want to share it or print it out, you can download it. It will download it as a PDF. Um, I don't know the answer to sharing it in PowerPoint. I have
Let
to
me go have a
admit,
little look. I'll have a little look. I
you have a
think,
look.
yeah.
I'm going to admit the reason is because I don't use PowerPoint, because I find Canva to do all the things that PowerPoint
I guess
does
that's the truth, isn't it?
and
Is
10
what
times
you
better.
I would just run it in Canva. You don't have to have PowerPoint to run it. It'll just run locally for you.
Yeah.
Hey, Veronica's on it. Yeah, you can download in PowerPoint format with Pro. Thanks. Look, you've got your tech support on the chat there, George. That's
Thank you
all
very
really.
much, everyone. Yeah. I apologize. I didn't know about PowerPoint because I abandoned PowerPoint about 10 years ago, because this is what does it for me. But what I often do is I will often download it as a PDF, and I'll use the PDF as my presentation tool, which you can do as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, this is an example of an infographic, but I was also talking about diagram templates. That's right. So a diagram again. I mean, there's 5,500 diagram examples that you can choose from, and you can either go through, or you can diagram social studies, for example. 20,000 templates now. I don't know how it's gone up. It's gone up because it's not all just diagrams. It's all kinds of anything to do with social studies. But you can make it specific to, for example, presentation. So you basically, it's clever, and then you basically narrow down what it is that you want to work on. Okay. Right. The next thing is creating CVs. Again, I won't go into this in too much detail, but if you wanted to create a different CV, you can use Canva to do something that's really eye-catching. On the whole, academic CVs don't need to be very eye-catching in the same way that they would if you were doing something for business or in the creative industries, where you want to really showcase that you're also a creative, and not just, when you're creating a CV in academia, you're really selling yourself more on your academic achievements rather than your creative achievements. But if you want to stand out, you can give yourself a little boost by doing this. So again, you go into Canva and you say, I want to create a CV. And up pops loads of example of, it's not good. So I've typed in CV and I typed Canva templates, and up pops all of these different things. So you have some fairly plain looking ones. And this is an example of a fairly plain one. And then if you go down, there's plenty of snazzy ones as well. In case you want to go snazzy, you may do. I know not all of you will necessarily stay in academia your whole lives. You might feel that that kind of thing is appropriate for you. The look of a CV does say something about you, but you may not want to go down that road because it might be over the top, and people might think, what are they trying to do? It might seem a little bit odd. So for example, some of the CV notes, if you're going to go into creating your CV in Canva, Normally, you don't have to put absolutely everything into your CV. And I know with academia, you think I've got to put every publication I've got in there. But I would argue that actually you might put depending on where you are in your career, you might only put the key publications that really matter. And you can offer a link to the ones that are maybe, just to let people know how many papers that you have produced. Sorry, I was just looking at some of the comments that had come in. An easy to read CV is better than too much information, and you've got to keep it relevant for the job that you're applying for. Again, I understand many of you will be applying for academic jobs, and people will want to see the quantity as well as the quality of research that you have produced. So here is of a very simple academic CV. You've got a page dedicated to publications over here, but it's kept each section is kept really brief. If you want to see this, it will be downloadable. Again, given the amount of time that we've got, I won't go into it in a huge amount of detail. But this was downloaded from, I think, an Oxford University site where they were talking about how to write a CV and keep it concise, keep it readable, and keep it engaging. So if you want to see this, if anyone's interested in seeing this, you will be in the recorded notes.
There is a question about putting your diagram on your poster within Canva. For example, after editing one of the timelines in infographics, I'd like to move it to the poster. I mean, yeah, because you've created an asset, haven't you? So
Yeah,
if you're
okay.
creating, this is what's everything in Canva is interchangeable across all the different elements. So if you wanted to put it in a social media asset or a leaflet or an infographic, you can just move the assets around.
Yeah, you can. Or you can create it within the project as well. But yes, you would create it as a project, and then I'm thinking about how I would do it. I would probably, for example, if I'd done this one, you could either go all, so select all and copy, and then go into something like this, and then paste it, and there it is. So that's one way to do it. I think the other way to do it would be to share it and download it either as a PDF, or there's lots of options, JPEG, PNG, for example. So you could do that, and you could download it and then re-upload it by going to Uploads, Upload Files, and then upload that. And you can see it's uploading here, and there it is. And then you can drop it in. Yeah, so that's how you might do it. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Good.
But yeah,
Okay.
it's nice and flexible. I think that's the key answer. Is normally with
Yeah.
Canva, the answer is yes. If if it isn't yes, they're probably working on it.
Yeah. I know that the next one of these lunchtime seminars is on creating videos. I'm not going to go into that in a lot of detail, but you can create videos in Canva, and I have done it. There are pros and cons to doing it in Canva. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly, again, partly because there's another one of these courses coming up, not with me, I should add. So you can create simple dynamic videos easily, but what you can't do is edit interviews well. That's a hard thing to do in Canva. So if you're doing a fairly simple video, you can do it in Canva, but I wouldn't recommend doing anything that's kind of tricky. It's great for social media, creating social media videos.
And we do have your video from the last session around making videos using Canva and videos generally. Some good lighting little snippets we took on that. So I'm going to be showing the YouTube assets are all going to be available for that. So you can watch back on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
What I would say is when you create videos using Canva, it's easy, quick, and because of the template thing, you can make things stylish. But it's still a slideshow. What you can't do is edit a video that looks like it's a crafted video. It still ultimately looks like a moving slideshow. Interviews are hard to edit. And if you are doing an interview with someone and then you want to cut away to some other information but have their voice carry on underneath, that's hard to do in Canva. And that's ultimately what good video editing is about. It's about cutting between things but having the same dialogue going on underneath. if you go here and you go to design, second, home, and you say, oh, I'd like to make a video, and you click on video, and you can see all. Now, here's where you've got a gazillion options of the kind of thing you want to create. But let's say you want to do a social media post for LinkedIn. And it asks you what size you want to make it. Let's say I don't want to create video ads, but that seems to be what it's suggesting for me. I'll just go with it because it doesn't have to be an ad. I'm going to click on this. And then, so here are lots of templates that you could use. And I'm going to use this. And of course, you can change your words here, but research. And then, of course, you can change your background. You don't need, it doesn't have to be the video. So you would go to your elements and your uploads, for example, and you would go to your videos and you would say, here's a video that I have uploaded. For example, it's this one. Now my words have disappeared because I put this on top of them. So I would go to my positions and I would go backwards and then that comes back.
Again,
So
all really intuitive. This is great for social media, isn't it? Just putting something
yeah,
quick out
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
What video editing software would you use if you were looking to do something sort of,
Me.
yeah.
So, well, when I edit using Premiere Pro, but it's expensive. It takes a bit of time to learn how to use, and it's less intuitive, but it's very powerful. That's Premiere Pro, which is part of the Adobe suite, and often your universities will give you access to licenses to use it. Final Cut Pro equally is similar to that. It's complicated but very powerful. You can still edit using the edit package that comes with your own computers if your universities have allowed that, and I don't know, they don't always. But for example, iMovie on Macs and whatever it is on PCs, it has been called
Media player?
video editor
Yeah.
for Windows 10 was, fairly recent. So I mean, they changed the name with kind of each new upgrade, so it kind of changes a bit. But, the video editors, they're not bad. And then you've got sort of all these intermediary ones, which are, often you have to pay a bit to use, but they're not as complicated as Final Cut Pro or as Premiere Pro, but allow you to do slightly more than, let's say, iMovie or Video Editor for Windows.
There are
There's,
some really good tools out there. Again, a bit like Canva, there's people who are going for the video editing.
yeah,
So I think it's what I've tried a few of the free trials on different tools, so I'd have a little nose around if
yeah.
you haven't got access to something. Yeah.
So I taught a course recently and I had a guy come along and he emailed me the other day and said, I'm really happy using Camtasia, for example. I think you have to pay a little bit to use certain functions on Camtasia. Most of the time you can download a basic version and have a little play with it. So that's your first clip there, and you would just add a clip or add a page. And again, you just choose what you want to what you want to put into it. And because I've selected the wrong size I've selected a square video and I've got a landscape shaped video. But I just put this, I just drop videos and then I can go here to the playhead and I can go like this and I can press play and see what my video looks like. And then it will go to the next. Now, obviously here there's a transition, and you can have all kinds of different transitions that you can play with here, and you can have a look at how long the transition will be. You can do some really clever social media style fancy transitions between your different clips. And then when you're done, you go up to share and you download it, MP4 video, and download it. And there's your video created. So it's a great video editing package, there are limitations as to what you can do. The words that you have here, again, you can have a play with how they appear on screen. That's how they're currently appearing, but you can make them do all kinds of things, as you can see. So huge variation in how you can make your videos look. And that's video, a very quick bounce through video editing.
But great fun for social, because we're not covering that
Exactly.
session next week. So I think if we are going to create videos, the then question is,
Yeah.
you've invested. A video is an investment. How are you going to use that? You're going to edit it. You're going to put it on social media. You're going to use it in your presentations. You want to make the most out of that, don't you?
Yeah. So following on from that, Lucy, this is the next thing, is how to create social media posts in Canva. So the first thing is know what platforms your audience hangs out in, and then choose the type of post that is appropriate for that platform. Be platform specific in the kind of posts that you create, but also repost on other platforms depending on whether your audience is or is not hanging out there. So for example, you choose your social media type, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, TikTok videos, whatever it is, and then it will give you a load of examples of templates that you can use. So again, I go here. Oh, I don't want to play with that one. Sorry. Social. And I'll play with that one. I go to home, and then I want to create a social media post. Click on that. All these things pop up. Let's say I want to create a, it's funny that it's Twitter, X, or let's say I want to do an Instagram post. I'm just having a look at what's here. I want to do an Instagram post, and I say, click see all, and I choose one that seems right for what it is that we're going to create. Let's just grab this one. I'm going to customize this template. And so it's already going to be formatted to be correct for, an Instagram post, for example, because that's what the templates are designed to do. Again, you just create it in all these different ways. And when it says share, it knows to share it in a lot of different ways. Public view link. It looks like here you can, again, I haven't done this before, but you can immediately post it from your desktop. So it does actually have some of the functionality of being like a share deck as well. Look, you can schedule it, but only if you're in the professional example. Yeah. And brand template, what are your brands? You can publish it as a brand template. So there's all kinds of different ways of doing, or you just download it as whatever format. This one's obviously an MP4, but you can do it as a JPEG, and all kinds of different ways of downloading it, depending on how you're going to share it and on what platform. One of the things to say that's really cunning, and again, I haven't been doing this because I tend on myself to use mostly LinkedIn, because that's where my audience is. I know my audience, I know where they hang out. But with Pro designs, you can also format your post for lots of different platforms very quickly, by just saying, right, reformat it for, I'm just wondering where I have done that before. I'm just trying to remember where it is because I haven't done it for a while. I can have a look into that. So basically, I've created an Instagram post, but if I want to reformat it automatically to a LinkedIn post, which would be not letterbox, but landscape, there is a function to do it automatically, but I think it's only Canva Pro that you can do it in.
But you've got all the assets. So again, if you've created it in one
Exactly.
format, it's very easy to go, right, we're now going to open a different format and just slot it all in. Yeah.
Exactly.
See,
Yeah.
Natasha, you've got a tech support here. Natasha says it's open when you export it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Good. I think that it'll be here, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so you can, well, you can export it for all of these different ones. Yeah, I don't know what happens if I do that, if it then, yeah. So that's how you can actually export them all directly to your social accounts. You don't need to export it and then re-upload it. So it's very clever like that. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is just the design basics. So when you're creating something in Canva, it's doing 90% of the design basics for you by giving you templates that someone's already created. Basically, it's like working with a graphic designer who's created amazing looking designs that can, or it looks like you've been working with a graphic designer, but you haven't. You've just been in Canva, and because loads of people are now using Canva, if you're not using Canva, you're falling behind. But it's very simple to make it look like you've been working with a graphic designer. But there are design principles that you need to bring with you to make your designs look really good. It's very easy to ruin a design that they give you in Canva by not following certain principles. And here are a few of the ones I wanted to just mention. So think about space. Think about how you use space for maximal effect. So for example, this is quite cluttered, but actually in the middle, so there was a poll of the which I think was amongst graphic designers of the two greatest movie posters ever created, and these were the two #1 and #2 positions. And space is used well here because there's lots going on. It's quite cluttered, but the middle of the poster creates a space in which to put Harrison Ford's character. And of course, here space is used very, very, very minimally here. This is a great example of what they call, you know, a sort of a minimalist negative space. So they haven't felt like cluttering this poster up with tons of stuff. It's a really minimal use done very effectively. Balance, not having everything kind of lopsided, but thinking about like the top of the poster. Well, that's also hierarchy. So this is balanced by having smaller elements down the side and a big element right in the middle and centralized. Hierarchy is about this. The eye reads from the top there, and then wants to see what's going on here. And this is just essential information, but it's so minimal because on the whole, most people won't look at it. It's got to be there for legal reasons, but the eye will look at important stuff here. The first thing it will see is this, Jaws, terrifying motion picture, #1 bestseller. That's what it looks at. You get it immediately. Danger, the actors here, and that's it. That's all you need. Lines. Where do you put lines? Because the eye reads in lines. So think about lines and shape. Colors. This is using a definite color palette. There's no blue, there's no green. This is using a definite color palette. Mute, apart from a few splashes of red, which is suggestive of blood. Again, typography, this was invented, a typography that was invented for this, but has since become iconic. People use this typography because it's iconic. Think about the fonts that you're using. Obviously, a lot of you will have to use certain fonts. And again, texture, this is very much a certain texture. There's a definite sort of like pencil drawing texture to this, which is very different from this. Think about how you might use texture to bring out certain elements of your poster, your talk, your social media post, your branding. So these are a few basic design rules worth thinking about when you're designing posters. Have you thought about all of these things? Don't clutter up your images. Don't clutter up your presentations. Keep them nice and simple. Make the eye drawn to one thing that you want your audience to see. Again, especially if you're doing a talk, do not allow people to spend absolute ages reading what's on your poster or presentation. It's meant to get their thoughts going, but then they turn to listen to what you have to say.
And a lot of people have two versions of presentations, especially George. If you have the one that you present to people, which is very much image driven,
Yeah.
you might have a second deck that you might send that has notes on it or more words or backup. And the same with posters, like the end of year student poster shows. oh my gosh, so busy. When actually what you want to do is be inspired to speak to the student and find out more about their project. They want to put every single thing about their project on this massive, normally it's A1, massive posters. Just give us the essence, get us excited.
Mm. Get us talking to you.
Yeah, Comedies in Jaws doesn't say anything, but you know exactly what the film's about.
Exactly. Yeah. So academic posters, I've got to be in my bonnet about them. They're so rarely engaging. They're so rarely inviting, because the very first thing that all of these things have to do, and the reason you're doing Canva, using Canva, is to get people to go look in, to
Yeah.
stop and say, I want to find out more. What
To
you don't
lean
want
in,
to
it's
do,
marketing. It's to lean
exactly.
in and go,
Yeah.
wow.
It's about marketing.
We're fishing, aren't we? We want people to come and be excited about what we're doing, maybe get involved.
Yeah.
As you say, with the call to action, isn't it? I want to speak to you. I want you to come to my workshop. I want you to sign up to find out more. Yeah.
And academic posters are usually, not always, but usually a wall of words, that make you just go, oh my gosh.
Well, you get overwhelmed and
Yeah.
then everything gets missed.
Yeah.
We've all
Yeah.
had been to presentations like that where somebody maybe has 3 or 4 amazing points, but
Yeah.
you've lost them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you want with a poster certainly is you want people to go, this looks good. Hey, tell me more.
Yes.
And the person is standing there, and then you have a conversation with them.
How do I
And
get
then-
involved? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And what you do, when you go to those academic poster presentation rooms, and there's just like 100 big posters with they're white, and there's just lots of words and loads of graphs, and you're in this room and you think, well, I can't possibly read all of this.
Can't absorb all of it. But yeah, exactly. It's like putting Jaws and then putting the script at the bottom and going, people are scared of swimming because there are sharks. The shark kills people. That's what the posters do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Whether Canva Pro, I think it's gone up since I made this slide, actually, so it's more than this, I think. But there are benefits to Canva Pro, and I'll just quickly talk you through what some of those are. There's a subscription. You can subscribe for 1 month, and then, so you can benefit from it for a certain amount of money, and then cancel it. I do that sometimes. It's very good for removing photo and video backgrounds, if that's what you need to do. There are so many more photos, videos, templates, and backgrounds available to you if you use Canva Pro.
Canva Pro is £100 a year.
Okay, and there must be a monthly one as well.
Yeah, I think there is.
It's probably
So
what,
the
15.
monthly's £13. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it hasn't
You're a
changed.
penny off, George. Outrageous.
Okay, so it's gone up by 1p. I think the main thing is that the AI engine can help you to do certain things. Obviously, the AI is able to remove the photo and video backgrounds. But for example, I tried this out, and I used the AI element to create a whole talk for me. And I uploaded some sort of information, and I say, create me a slide presentation, and it was nonsense. AI is a whole other thing to talk about, but AI is great for giving you some ideas of where to start thinking about something. It helps you avoid the blank page, but AI is not yet in a great place to write a whole talk for you, write a chapter for you, or create a slide deck for you, which is what we're talking about here today. AI can help you get started with it, but it definitely can't do the whole thing for you.
And I love it for that. I just like the whole, it takes away, like all those designs, you say they're not perfect, but it's not a blank page, which is really overwhelming. And ChatGPT was looking at AI in one of the latest sessions, as you saw, and ChatGPT just takes away the overwhelm of the blank page.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you have I don't like that, I'm going to change that color and add that image, you've already got momentum, haven't you?
Yeah. So the Canva Pro allows you to build a brand kit and have it saved. That doesn't mean you can't brand your Canva creation when you're not using Pro. You can create your own branding, but you just have to do it each time. And because it remembers your elements, it's fairly straightforward to do it, but you can't click a button and automatically it applies your branding to it. So it's just quicker, but it's more expensive. And I think the other thing was what I was looking at a little when I was mentioning in my previous post, my previous discussion about social media. With AI in Canva Pro, it will quickly repurpose your post for different social media platforms. So it will do it much more quickly. To be honest, that is something that if you are the social media manager for a research department, for example, would be useful. But if it's just you and you don't post all that often, or or less often than the social media manager would do. It's not that hard or takes that long to repurpose to other social media platforms with Canva standard. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into answer any questions now, but I just wanted to so one of the things I was doing was I created this morning as a way of something showing you something that I could create really quickly, which is about today's thing. And this is something I made this morning, and I could show you kind of the different elements to how I created it if that's of interest. But I think the first thing is to go and ask. There are probably a gazillion questions that you want to ask, so I could just go through your chat and sort of see if I'm covering stuff.
I think we've done quite a good job on the.
You've been keeping an eye on it, have
Well,
you?
between me and Robin's been doing a great job being a
Great, thank
wingman
you.
on here.
Yeah. Is it useful? Why don't you fire questions about specifics? But if you're interested, if you are interested, I've just had to make a request to share again. If you're interested, I could show you how I made this thing this morning as a way of just showing you how I layer all the different things. Is that a useful thing to do?
I think that is for me. I think, oh, we've got some. Oh, we've got now, Sophia, I had seen your message. Sophia has got a question about making maps.
Okay.
And I know, Sophia, I've got your original question, which I saved that one. Is it possible to create a map showing specific countries in a certain colour and linking to keys for each colour for use in publication?
So, um, I
And we
haven't
also
done
we
it.
also have a question about voiceover pictures. Well, I actually hadn't had a look. I was going to go in Canva and just see what comes up when you have map as a
I'm just going to put that in now. So
yeah,
I've done it. I've
that's what I
actually
would
done
do.
it in other tools, um, but I'd be amazed if you can't. So um, let's just have a look at this. Um,
I found 20,000 Canva templates when I put map of world in. So I think the answer is yes, Severe. You might want to have a little bit of a nose round and have a play because I think there's some world landmark ones which you can colour code. There's a few that have that kind of functionality. The world's happiest people
yeah,
kind of
this
colour
one.
code and yeah.
Yeah, this one isn't great. Uh,
Put map of the world in into your top
okay.
search because that's what I
Yeah.
did. I found some academic ones as well in there.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I have done exactly what it is that you're talking about, but I've done it in a different package. I've never actually used the map function here, but you will be able to. You just have to be able to edit it. Um, doesn't look like there's this one either.
I can come in and just maybe give a bit of guidance on this.
Oh yes, thank you.
On the left-hand side, so it's about utilizing the apps function on the very left.
Uh, okay. This one.
Yes. And then when you select on that, you can search maps.
Oh, okay, great.
And then you're probably looking, I mean, Google Maps is like, for use here, we could try that. So you're integrating maps into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then there's going to be a bit of tweaking, customization. So you need to have to sort of layer in some shapes over the countries that you want. And so pick colors. So I think this is good where you've got some simple map designs that you want to do, but if you've got kind of data-driven maps, you might want to consider using a mapping tool that's specific for it.
So I think I haven't done this, and normally what you end up doing is having a little noodle around until you found what it is that you want. There's another tool which I'm not going to go into because this is about Canva today, but I think it might be called PictoChart, but it allows you to have editable maps, and I've certainly used that before. I will be astonished if the functionality that you're talking about isn't here. Having not used it in Canva, it would take me some time to find out how to do it.
But I would do the same as you. I would go in and ask it what you want it to create and then see what it comes out. It'll have 2 or 3 options, which with a bit of editing will do what you need it to. Someone's asked about crediting Canva if you use a presentation or use a Canva-free illustration for publication.
Yeah. No, you don't have to. That certainly is my understanding, is that you don't have to. I mean, sometimes what these packages do, if you're not using Pro, is that they watermark it, and if you want to remove the watermark, you have to pay to do so. But that's not the case in Canva. I've never seen any. I think basically you can just create what you want, and it's not branded. Yeah.
No, but I think if you are presenting it, it's quite good to give it a bit of credit and say, look, this is how wonderful we can make our project look.
Yeah.
I'd probably do it from that perspective because we can educate everyone. Our projects will all reach more people, which is ultimately what we're all here for, isn't it?
Yeah. I just wanted to show you this, like if you start with a blank page, you can what you can do as well. So what I did here, if this is useful, is that I took a shape and I just made it cover the whole of my canvas, and I made it a dark color, and then I got some logos, and so in my elements, well, actually I uploaded them. So I uploaded University of Bristol logo, for example, but in my elements, for example, I searched for Canva logo, which obviously exists here, but so do, if you need YouTube or LinkedIn, you can just grab those. So I put Canva logo, photos, and I just grabbed, obviously that's a slightly different one, but I found it in here. And I just put that over here and resized it to go up here. And then I looked for my uploads and I put this here in the corner there. Then I need some text here. So I click on text and I drag a heading down here and I put learning Canva to promote research. And of course I need to format that so it's how I want it to be. The color doesn't work with this background, so I'm going to make it white. And then my effects, I think I did this just to give it a little nudge. So that's now there. Here, this is the formatting of this has gone absolutely bonkers, and I don't know why. So you have to go back but what I did was I went to my original first slide and I grabbed all of this and I went copy, oops, copy. And I came back here and where is it? Here. And I pasted it. Oh, apologies. Well, anyway, I'll just leave that there. I'll just minimize that and put that down here. My clipboard obviously still has a previous thing on it. And then this, how I created this was I went to my elements and I scrolled down to frames and I put a frame here.
We're just asking everybody what they're going to create, George, after you've inspired them to go off and have a play in Canva. There's some posters, some leaflets, some social media assets, some infographics and websites, but everyone's going to go and have a go. I put one of the options was not sure, but feel more confident about having a go. I mean, that's what we want to inspire,
kind
isn't
of
it?
what it's all about. Yeah, exactly. just going to carry on unless people don't want me to carry on anymore.
No, you're all
This,
good. No, I was just because I saw a few people have had to go, so I wanted just to
yeah.
get some feedback before we finished.
Okay. I put this bacteria in here. Now, if you can see, if I just drop it here, you will see the whole bacteria image. But if I go over the circle, it will only put it in the frame, and that's what a frame is for. As you can see here, hold on, let me just put this microscope, this person using a microscope over the top, which I've done there. Now you can see that's not a great image because the two things are fighting with one another. So I want to take the background image, and what I've done is I've made it much more transparent so that it's not dominating this the image that's over the top of it. And then of course you can put some more information on your slide. These diagonal elements, all I did here was I got another shape and I put it here, and then I made it really large, and then I spin it like this and make it even larger because it's not nearly large enough. And then I put it there, and then I change the color to be like that. And then I duplicated it. So I right-clicked on it. Oh no, hold on. Right-clicked on it, duplicate. And then I've got two now. I'm going to put that here, click on its color, and do that. Now, obviously, those are on top of what I want them to be on top. So I go to position and I move it backwards. And this one I need to move backwards as well. And then, oops, this one I need to move backwards. Oops, no, I need to move it forwards by one. And there you go. I mean, it's not quite the same, but it's similar.
It took you 2 minutes. This is the key thing, isn't it? Is you quite quickly created something very credible.
Oh, so my logos have disappeared, and that's one of the things.
They've gone to the back. Yeah.
So anyway, it's all.
Yeah.
I'm going to move this right to the back and move this right to the back. So my logos have now appeared, and I need to move forwards by one. Oh, they've now disappeared.
I apologize. We've missed a question about creating a video poster where the voice recording is explaining the poster for social media.
Right. So let's go here. Create a video for whatever it might be. It could be TikTok videos. Let's say you want to use this as your template. Customize this template. Okay. So what I would do is I would go to my elements. No, I would go to uploads and I would go record yourself. Camera. And I would go like this, I would record. Today, I'm doing a presentation on how to create videos for social media and record yourself on your computer. Done. Okay. Right.
So professional, George, like you do that for a living or something.
And there it is. Okay, and then I just drop this in here. Obviously, it's created the wrong. Well, there you go. It's rather than this. But if you'd recorded it on your phone and then uploaded it, you could have done that way. But if you record it directly in Canva, you can do it this way. And let's say I'm going to. So let's say I might want to delete these because I only want one video. I'm just deleting these, and then let's say I need a different background. Let's say I need grass. An image of grass. Oops. There you go. Move that backwards, and one more. So there's me down there, and there's me down there. And that should, in theory, it's doubled up.
But yeah, so you can have talking posters.
So there you go. And then you would
Talking
share,
videos.
and then
Yeah.
you would share it. Does that answer your question? I hope it does.
Yes, there we have a thank you. Sorry for missing that earlier.
That's
But yeah,
fine.
I think this is a key thing. You can play around with it, add video. Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful, the kind of content you can create. I would say you need to play around with it and get used to it. You need to play around. Oh, look, I can change this now to be more like that. Yeah, so I can actually make it, the right shape, the shape that I want it to be, for example. So you just play around with it and you'll get there in the end. I was looking to see how I could edit that so it's not so dark. There you go, effects. I'm sure they are in here somewhere. And that's about cropping it. Anyway, have a look around. It's basically about having a play. There are tons of tutorials available on YouTube or on the website of Canva to help you to do whatever it is that you don't know how to do. And so if there are any other questions, just let us know.
I think it can be a bit overwhelming, can't it? The amount of information, which is why I think you're doing it live with feedback makes it much more accessible, because I know when I've gone on some of the Canva, it's just you don't know what you don't know. So I think, yeah, the key thing is go and have a play, have a go at it, and you'll be quite surprised what you can achieve.
Yeah.
I've had great fun creating social media assets, for example. So that looks great. See, George is he's still making things.
I'm still creating things, but I'm here. I'm available for you to ask me any questions. Anyone have any more questions they want to ask? Does Canva only work when you're online? I don't know.
Well, if you downloaded the assets, I guess. Yeah, you're going to have to build them in on the platform, aren't you?
Yes, in fact, I do know this because I was doing it on an airplane to New York. You can still work on it, but you can't save it, of course. And so there's that slightly scary thing that if you spent loads of time working on something, you then have to arrive and hook it up to the internet for you to save the work that you've done. And I was too scared to do that in case it lost everything. It is browser-based. I don't know if there's a Canva app. I imagine it probably is now, but I don't know.
I'd assume there is. Yeah, I'd assume there would be too. I'm just putting the slide up with all the next sessions on to make sure everyone you have them all in your diary, but just make sure you come along to some more.
There's a question about separate audio and video.
Oh yeah,
it's a really good question. In the past, I've struggled with having separate audio and video. I think so there's the audio of there's your video. Shutter clicks. Do you know what? These things are evolving. The first time I did this, it was like a year and a half ago, and you couldn't do any separation of audio and video, and it looks like they have maybe introduced that functionality. I think you can do it to a limited extent, but not as well as you can with proper video editing packages. So
Natasha's suggesting you send the video to the back, so I think Natasha might have done this looking at her comments. But I guess some videos don't have audio, so you could just put the audio. It's like a layer. Is it just like another layer? Oh, Natasha's just guessing. Fair enough. It was a good guess. We believed you. You've been very good tech support through this webinar. But I'd imagine if your video hasn't got any audio, you could add it as just a layer as you would with the logo, and the logic of Canva would suggest it, but I'd have a play.
Yeah. I've edited stuff in Canva before, and I struggled I struggled with the separate audio and video layers. But it looks like it's already better than it was 6 months ago when was the last time I was trying to edit a video in Canva. So I think there may be increasing functionality in that respect, but
worth investigate. We're getting back to go and investigate and see what it's done.
Yeah.
George, I think we'll wrap up. Thank you so much for everyone who's stayed with us for the entire session. We have recorded this. It will be being shared. And you have all seen the date, so we hope to see you for the next 5 sessions. But oh look, George, you're getting love coming up. Did love an emoji flying up there. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for all the questions and engagement. This is what we like, is to know that we're talking to people. So go off and have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next week.